Okay, let's start because everybody's here. Um, Please switch your cameras on so I can see you. It's always nicer. So what are we going to do today is we will have a look at disease and health. So the objective of today's course is to understand what illness means, what components illness has, and what kind of types of illnesses there are. Okay, so it's very general. So we will talk a little bit about more specific things, but the idea is that after today's class, you have an idea what is true for each illness. So the components that make illness, it's the ingredients of illness and what is important about it, what you always have to take into account. Okay. Um, and it's interesting because in fact it's a little bit, it's not complex, but it's a little bit more complete than you might think. And but before we do that, I first want to give you some information about the core activity, because yesterday I didn't want to do it to give in order to avoid too much administrative information, but I want to do it today because it's important that you start doing this. The first thing I want to tell about the core activity is that I think it's a very, very nice core activity, which we will do, okay? The project, let's say. Um, at the same time, I believe it's very important for all of, more for you than for me, in fact, because our project or core activity is a little bit about investigating your own health. Okay, that's what it's about. You will analyze and you will have a look at your own life and your own health, and you will conclude for yourself how healthy you are or how unhealthy you are, let's say. Okay. There is something about this course that you all have to know, guys. I mean, this is a very intimate course. Okay. It's an intimate course because we will talk about personal things. I mean, in this project, in this core activity, you will have to share very personal things with me, which of course will stay 100% confident. Okay, no, I will not ever share that with anybody. That's a promise I make to you. So I want to invite you to be as honest as possible and don't be afraid. There is no shame in anything. I just would like you to be as honest as possible because there might be things that you could discover. And I don't know if you have heard of the Oath of Hippocrates. You know what it is? No, the Oath of Hippocrates is like a protesta, to say it in Spanish, which people that work with medicine, they have to do it. So it's I can share it with you. I think it's important uh, that you know about this. So I share it with you. So Hippocrates is in fact a Greek person who lived like from 460 BC until 370 BC in Greece, and they call him the father of Western medicine. And he was called Hippocrates of Kos or Hippocrates II, and he was a physician. It was really the first time that humans really started to do medicine. Okay, think about it. It was even before Jesus Christ was born. The Greeks already did medicine, and we call him the father of medicine because he was the first person that was really trying to do medicine on people. You know that this is very revolutionary because in those times everything was dedicated. It was all dedicated to the gods. You would die because God wanted you to die. There was no medicine, and you were not allowed to interfere. Even in Christianity, this was still in the Middle Ages like that. You could not touch anybody, or you could not perform medicine on a person because that would be considered blasphemy. Okay, but anyway, what is Hippocrates and why is he so important? Because Hippocrates, he made what we call the Oath of Hippocrates, and the Oath of Hippocrates is in fact a list of things that I swear, just like any other. I'm not a doctor, by the way, but like all doctors and all medical personnel swear. Okay, so that's something that in Europe we have to do that. I think in Mexico all doctors also do that. And so you can see what it all concludes. You can see I will prevent disease wherever I can, for preventive is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those of mind and body as well as the infirm. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest tradition of my calling, and may I, it's very small, may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. Um, I will not be ashamed to say I know not, nor I will fail to call my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. So basically, it's a list of promises that medical people make in order to protect the integrity of the patient, to always to do the best things possible for each person, not to share it with anybody else, and only to do it in the interest of the patient. Okay. Those of you who are interested to become a doctor, they will be confronted with this oath of Hippocrates as well. So why do I mention this? Is because I swear, I had to swear when I graduated in my Master of Medical Sciences and Biomedical Sciences. I swore the oath of Hippocrates that I only will do good. I only will try to help people. I will never do any harm. I will never commit any crime, medical crime. I will never do anything for my own interest. I will always do everything in the best, for the best for the patient. And you can look for the whole oath, what it all includes. So of course, this is for me the message that I want to tell you, that you're safe. I will always protect you, and I will only take care, use this information for the best. So why am I telling this? It's because our core activity is a little bit about this. And of course, I will not oblige you, but I do invite you to do it as honest as possible. This is individual, and the first delivery of the core activity is about a medical record format. So you will have an identification sheet with your name, gender, age, occupation, which is student. And then here you will get a list with personal pathological background. So it's not really that much for me, but it's for you to list a little bit how you are, what kind of medical issues did you have in your life. It's interesting because from the moment that you say yes or you specify something, when we come on in that system, you can ask me more questions about it. We can or we can do together more profound investigation about what you have, because I think that whatever condition you may have, I think some of you might have something, I don't know, but it's always very good for you to always investigate whatever you have as good as you can. Okay, do your own research. It's very important that you do that. So that's why we do this. You do this for yourself, and of course, with my help, we will investigate. So the personal pathological background, you will state here if you have cardiovascular diseases, yes or no. If yes, specify them. Lung and respiratory diseases, skin diseases, digestive system disorders, urinary system, musculoskeletal system, so that's bones and muscles, urinary system, autoimmune diseases, or certain things of the nervous system. Okay, then we go to the allergy section. So some of you might have allergies against pollen or peanuts, or the most common things. You write it down here. Here you write down, if it's not enough space, you can of course make it bigger. If you had any surgeries done, if you had any blood transfusions. In blood transfusions, if you know your blood group, it's also good to know. Okay, normally we do a practicum in the class to define what your blood group is. It's always very interesting because I always make there's always students that have very special blood groups. So there is often Asian people have B. For Latin people is not that common. The most common is O, and what is really rare is O negative. And in the time that I've been in tech, I had only 2 O negatives. So I always protect those students, because if you kidnap them, you can sell their blood, which would of course, which would of course be really bad. No, but I'm joking about it, of course. Then you have the non-pathological personal history. So here, yeah, be honest. You know, if you do some alcohol, if you did some smoking now and then, maybe you tried some weed or some other stuff. I will never ever tell your parents. If there's other things, write them down. If you don't want to do it, I'm not going to oblige you. But if you want to be open about it, there is no consequences of what you write here. If you say, I did heroin, cocaine, and I don't know what, it's okay. We will talk about it. It's not to, the objective is not to tell to your parents. The objective is just that you learn about those things and the dangers they have. I already can tell you here to be open. I'm from Europe. I still do drink now and then. I'm not a very big drinker, but now and then I do something. I have, of course, not of course, but I did. I never smoked, but I have tried cigarette now and then in the past. About drugs, I also have experimented with certain things, uh, which we will tell about more in the nervous system. I'm not promoting drugs, guys. I'm just sharing with you what I did in my youth. It doesn't mean at all that I am promoting any kind of drugs. I think drugs in general are bad, but I don't want to lie about it. I did experiment with ayahuasca when I was traveling in the world. I did some opium in Laos with a tribe. I also chewed some coca leaves in Bolivia in the mountains. I also, of course, I say of course because in Europe it's really common. It's like smoking marijuana is really really common. So I also did that. But I'm really not promoting anything. I just want to open the dialogue, because just saying and lying about everything, it's not going to help you. You have to learn about the drugs and what are the dangers to know about it. I'm not promoting it again, but in case you're ever going to try something, I want you to be informed and that you do it responsibly. Okay. Here is something about family background, mother, father, sister, and physical examination. This is something really nice. Maybe if you have a doctor in the family, they can do this. This is really important, guys, because there is people even of your age that have high blood pressure or too high heart rate, or they have a little bit oversize. They're a little bit high BMI. You know how to calculate the BMI? If not, you will look for it. It's like you do that with your weight and your length. And then you do some research and you write it down. So that's a little bit the first delivery of the core activity. Any questions about this? No?
We
Okay.
good now.
No, not now. It's for you have to have this ready before the first partial. So the date is, let me have a look. Adios. Bye bye. The date is, I my it's my wife came in and she distracted me a little bit. Yeah, you can see it in modules. I think it's somewhere in the beginning of February. I don't know. It's just before. No, I'm gonna have a look. Wait a second. It should be here.
Wait, teacher.
Yes.
So it said, like, do you have a cardiovascular disease? Yes, no, and then specify.
Yes.
What if you don't have one? What do you specify? Nothing?
Yeah. Then you don't have any cardiovascular disease. But it would be rare. I mean, I hope you do not have it. But if you have a cardiovascular disease, you guys at your age, it's possibly congenital, which means that you have it from birth. That possibly your heart, the septum is not really closed, or you had some other issues. But normally at your age, you should not have cardiovascular diseases. If you have, you probably already have them a long time and you were operated on it. It would be rare, but it's possible. So this score is for the 7th of February. So you have about 3 weeks to do that, okay? And again, guys, this is 100% confidential, okay? If you, like I said, I cannot check it, but I just think that you do yourself a favor, because it's the only course in the whole prepa that you will do this research about yourself, you know? And you can only learn about it. This will promise, pinky promise, super pinky promise. This will never ever be shared with parents, with other teachers, with directors. This is only between me and you, okay? This is the oath we make, whatever you write down, okay? So I just want you to be that you don't want to be nervous about it. It will also not affect your grade. If somebody writes down, "I did smoke weed," I'm not gonna get on you and giving you less points or something, okay? But it's important that we learn about these things, because seriously, sooner or later you will get confronted with all these kind of things, and the more you know about it, the better you can protect yourself against about it. And that's the whole objective about it. It's that you're educated, that we learn about it, so that you're protected, and that you know about things, okay? So that's that. Let's start with the course then. um, the course of today is Introduction to Health and Sickness. It's a short thing. It's quite, I know that's what we did yesterday. It's a short part which we will do today, but it has some interesting concepts in it, and one you can see behind me already. It's the triangle of health and sickness. So let's start doing this. So health and sickness, guys, that's what we're going to talk about today. And we have to know a little bit what it's all about, okay? So we have some definitions about it, which we call the key concepts. And the definitions are biological, the dimensions, sorry, the dimensions of the World Health Organization about health and sickness have 3 dimensions, okay? The dimensions are biological, social, and psychological, okay? There is very little information about it. So what is biological? Luis, tell me, what is the dimension of health and sickness in a biological perspective? Luis, any idea? No? Vanessa, do you know?
I don't know.
No? Tamara, can you try? What do you think? What is the biological dimension of health and sickness?
Well, the genetics and all the things that have in your body.
Yeah, of course, that's good. The biological part is your genetics. It's all the things that make you ill, bacteria. It's everything of the organism itself. Okay, so the physical aspects of the body, such as organ systems and their function, that's the biological dimension. Okay, so it's really the physical. It's our body, and all the bacteria, virus, and everything included. Okay, the psychological. What is the psychological one, Isabella Trussell?
Your mental health and how your brain works.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to really tell that this has been ignored. Okay, this is only the last decennia that there is more and more awareness about the psychological dimension of health and sickness. Think about what we have said yesterday, that people can get ill just because they are depressed, or just because they are not feeling good. So it's the psychological thing is really, really important. If you don't feel okay, if you're not mentally or emotionally fine, it's gonna affect your health, okay? And then the social one, Oliver?
How you relate to other persons and your environment.
Yeah, very good. It's how you relate with other persons and your environment. It really depends where you are, with which people you live, in which environment, in which city, what is your income, what is the level of your education. I don't know if you know that, but there is a very strong correlation between education and longevity. People that are well educated live longer, and they are healthier than people that have no education and generally have less income. Okay, but we will see that. Okay, then we have the health. What does health mean? Is the complete physical, mental, and social welfare of a person. So it's those 3 things together. Okay, that's health. If biologically you're okay, so biologically means I'm free of virus, bacteria, I have no cancer, my genetics is fine, but I'm also emotionally and mental okay. Yeah. There's even people getting sick because psychological disorders like sexual orientation, stress, cultural issues, okay? And then social, of course, it's where you live. It's not only the people you deal with, it's your income, your education, your environment, all of that. If all of that, those three dimensions are fine, then you have a good health. Whenever there is something wrong with one of the three of them, you can go in sickness, okay? And this sickness, it's more than just being infected with something. People that are chronically depressed, we also consider that a sickness, okay? As well as other social situations, okay? So let's watch a small video about this.
We can define health as a state of both physical and mental well-being. Generally, though, we don't class ourselves as being either healthy or unhealthy. Instead, we exist on a spectrum, with some people being either more or less healthy than others in certain ways. One of the reasons that people vary so much is that there are so many factors that affect our health. The main factors for good health are things like a well-balanced diet, getting enough exercise and sleep, and having access to medical care, in particular preventative medicines like vaccines. On the other hand, if we don't have these things, or if we have too much stress, for example, we might become less healthy or ill. Another important term to know is disease, which encompasses a large group of conditions that can cause ill health. Sometimes these diseases might be caused by the factors we just mentioned. For example, an unhealthy diet could lead to diabetes. However, other diseases like chickenpox or asthma might be completely unrelated to our lifestyle. We can generally split diseases into two groups. Communicable diseases are those that can spread from person to person, or between animals and people. We often call these infectious diseases, and they can be caused by things like viruses, bacteria, parasites, and fungi, which we'll cover in more detail in other videos. Examples of communicable diseases include the common cold, malaria, and meningitis. The other group is non-communicable diseases, which can't be spread between different people. These are things like asthma, coronary heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. These generally start more slowly and last a long time, with some of them never going away. One of the difficult things with understanding disease is that different types of diseases sometimes interact with each other to cause other physical and mental health issues that might not seem related. Let's take a look at 4 examples to give you an idea of what we mean. As you might know, our immune system defends us against infections. So in cases where a person has problems with their immune system, they won't be able to defend themselves against communicable diseases as well. And so they often end up catching infectious diseases like the common cold or influenza far more often than a healthy person would. Another link is between some viruses and cancers. For example, HPV, which stands for human papillomavirus, can cause cervical cancer in women. But fortunately in the UK, almost all girls receive a vaccine to HPV, so they're far less likely to get the cancer. Sometimes though, it's the human body itself which is at fault. For example, skin rashes and asthma are often due to the body's own immune system overreacting to a pathogen. Our body basically tries so hard to get rid of the pathogen that it ends up damaging our own tissues in the process. One of the most important links, though, is between people's physical health and their mental health, which is basically your level of psychological and emotional well-being. As you can probably imagine, suffering from severe physical health problems could have a big impact on people's mental health. This is particularly true if the physical disease has an impact on the person's ability to carry out everyday activities, such as getting out of the house, going to work, and seeing friends. And in some cases, it can get so bad that it causes problems like depression or chronic anxiety. And that's it for now. If you enjoyed it, then please give us a like and subscribe.
Okay, I think it's a very good video. It's a little bit slow, but I think that's a good thing because it's not that simple. But what you have to take away from this video really is that there is nothing like I'm sick or I'm healthy, you know? It's not black and white. There is a whole lot of gray in between it, okay? And you have to try to be as healthy as possible, but what the video explains that it's like a whole spider web of interactions and things that influence another thing, and that's really important to understand. It's not black and white, it's not on or off, it's really way more complex than that. Let's go a little bit more into detail about what we just said, because we have this ecological triad, okay? So we already had, you have to think about triangles in this class, you know? The first triangle we had is like the biological, the psychological, and the social triangle, okay? And this ecological triad is about the other one that defines what illness really is. It's the host, the agent, and the environment. Who can help me to explain a little bit what this means? What is a host, Emilio?
Is a person who can carry the pathogen or the virus.
Yeah, very good. The host is basically the home, you can say, the home of the illness. You know, the host is the organism that is affected by the illness. What is the agent, Ana Sofia Villanueva?
I don't know, maybe like the virus or something.
Yeah, very good. The bacteria, the virus, the parasite, the fungi, all of this is the agent, okay? And the environment, what do we mean with the environment? So it has to do with host and agent.
The conditions of
The surrounding.
host?
Yeah, very good. It's the conditions of the host and the environment where the agent and the host is. To give an example, you all know that we have a flu season, okay? Why do we have a flu season? Because the environment for the influenza virus is favorable for the host, which means colder temperatures, higher humidity. That's a good environment for the influenza virus to infect people. That's why we have typically a seasonal flu, okay? That's the same thing if you think about, you have heard in 2013, I gave in one a presentation about it, about the Ebola virus, okay? Ebola virus doesn't happen in Mexico or in America. Why not? Because the environment is not suitable for the Ebola virus. The Ebola virus needs a very humid and a very hot environment. So it's a virus that has been only seen, unfortunately, in the tropical areas of Africa, okay? In the subtropical and tropical areas of Africa, we had outbreaks of Ebola virus because that's where the environment of the virus is favorable to infect the host, okay? Okay, so if we talk about illnesses, we have to divide that also a little bit in different things. I think this is not too hard. We have professional illnesses, okay? Professional illnesses could be you, for instance, sitting down all day on a chair and that your back starts hurting. That could be a professional illness. What you see here in the picture, it's people that work in mines that very often have respiratory diseases, or because of the amount of dust that they breathe all day long. So that's a professional illness. Then they make a second one, which is the degenerative. Who can give an example of degenerative illnesses?
Like Stephen Hawking?
Yeah, very good. Stephen Hawking had like ALS, or not ALS, but he had motor neuron disease, which is basically a kind of autoimmune disease he was suffering from. And what happened with Stephen Hawking is that his own immune system was attacking his motor neurons. Motor neurons are the neurons that control your muscles and they control the movement. And little by little, he became more and more paralyzed. And eventually, people with the disease, motor neuron disease that Stephen Hawking had, they die because it also breaks down the nerves that control the respiration, which is the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles. So if you stop having control of the muscles, because your lungs, they do not have muscles, okay? If they stop getting the signal for breathing, and if your heart stops getting the signal for beating, of course, this is all controlled by neurons and motor neurons. And if this gets attacked or it's degenerative, of course, a person cannot stay alive. Another example of degenerative diseases is diabetes, in fact. Okay, diabetes, we have to talk a lot about it because it's a very big problem in Mexico. You know, there is so many people who have diabetes, and diabetes is something we cannot cure. You can live with it if you eat healthy and you take your pills, but basically things get worse and worse as well. You know, I mean, your pancreas has to produce insulin, and the islands of Langerhans, which produces the insulin, they get severely damaged, and this is irreversible. So we can consider that a degenerative disease. Who else can give me an example of other degenerative diseases?
Was polio a degenerative disease?
Sorry?
Polio.
Polio? Yeah, yes, I think it's degenerative, but the thing with polio is that it's in fact it's a kind of illness that it's caused by a virus, and it's degenerative in the sense that it destroys also the neurons, so it's unfixable. But nowadays we're all vaccinated against polio, and polio is almost out of the world. So yeah, I would say it's degenerative, but I would call it more infectious disease because it's...
Would cancer and tumors count as degenerative?
Yeah, definitely. Cancer, I was waiting for that answer. Cancer is definitely degenerative because if you have cancer, you have tumor growth, you have metastases, and basically without treatment, cancer will kill you eventually. Okay, so it's definitely degenerative. Let's go to the lack.
What about,
yes?
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah, go
muscular dystrophy, is that a degenerative?
Yeah.
Muscular dystrophy, I think it's called.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
It's also definitely degenerative because basically what happens in that illness is that your muscles, they become smaller and smaller, they stop functioning. So degenerative is in fact everything that tomorrow is worse than today is degenerative. Okay, guys, I also want to tell you that you can ask me all the time about everything. I really like to have a good participation, okay? But I also want to tell you that I'm very interested in this subject. I really like teaching this, but I have to be honest, I don't know everything, okay? So if I don't know something, I'm gonna tell you that I don't know it, and we can research it together, and then we find the answer. Because I mean, it's impossible even for the best doctor in the world to know everything about everything. I always like to learn, but there is always students that come with very, very specific questions, and I just want to admit that I do not know everything, okay? So sooner or later you will notice. So let's go to the infectious diseases, which we will divide in 4 groups, okay? Infectious diseases is diseases caused by, yes, go ahead, Emilio.
Mr. And how about intoxication by radiation?
Intoxication by radiation, it depends what kind of radiation. but that would be more acute illnesses because you're exposed to something that causes an amount of damage, and then it really depends how much the damage is, okay? And it depends also what kind of radiation you have been exposed to, because if you have been exposed to, for instance, nuclear radiation, this is, I would definitely consider this degenerative, because I mean, you might be fine 1 or 2 weeks later if you had some kind of doses of nuclear radiation, but in 10 years or something, you could have cancer development, you know, because we know that this very fine radiation is causing DNA damage, and DNA damage is causing cancer. We have seen that already last semester, and cancer is like, in fact, one of the most complex diseases that exist, you know, because remember last semester we have seen that cancer is very unique. Every cancer is very different. It's like a whole science on its own. Okay, so infectious diseases. These ones are caused by an agent, okay? The agent, we can divide them in 4 groups: in viral, bacterial, fungal, and others. And I want to give me some examples, please, because I would like you to know to have some examples. Ivan, give me an example of a virus.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, very good, of course. Leonela, another virus. She's not there.
Influenza.
Actually, yeah, sorry?
Influenza.
Influenza is a virus, very good. Some other ones?
HIV.
Yeah, gripe is HIV, hepatitis. Okay, yeah.
Salmonella.
Salmonella not. Salmonella is not a virus. Salmonella is, yeah, that brings us to the second group. It's a bacteria, okay? It's, by the way, Emilio, it's terrible. Some years ago, I got salmonella infection, and by eating something that was infected with salmonella, and can be very aggressive. I was quite bad for 2-3 days. But you can fix salmonella quite easily if you take the right antibiotics. So salmonella is a bacteria. What else is a bacteria?
E. coli.
E. coli is a bacteria. However, E. coli it could make us ill, but not always. E. coli, it really depends on the strength of your immune system. It doesn't make you always ill. In fact, did you know that your intestine, your big intestine, is full of E. coli? But it could be very dangerous, eh? Ana Sofia, you're absolutely right. E. coli could be dangerous. What else? Sorry, Daniela?
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis, yeah, very good. Tuberculosis. It's called by a bacteria called tuberculosum. Very dangerous, tuberculosis.
Cancer?
No, cancer is not a bacteria, not at all.
Okay.
Cancer is a genetic disease. Okay, I think bacteria, you know many of bacterial diseases, in fact, Staphylococcus, coliformis, certain wound infections. This is all caused by bacteria. Okay, if you have this Staphylococcus aureus as well, this is a bacteria that you commonly have when you have the flu or something. Let's go to fungal diseases. I opened these pages. I want to share with you the diseases, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. I opened this because few people know about fungal diseases, but what is the most common ones is fungal nail infections. Okay, older people have very often fungal nail infections, and how you know that? It's when the nails of the toes or the hands, they become extremely yellow, and that's because there is a fungi growing under the nails. You can fix that with certain creams and a treatment, but many people, they don't. Okay, if you start seeing that your nails become yellow, you have to start thinking about a fungi infection. It doesn't do any harm, but it doesn't look so good, and it's always a good idea not to have it. Okay, another thing which is important for the girls is vaginal candidiasis. Okay, candidiasis is something that affects girls it's a vaginal infection which causes, if you click on it, it's a yeast infection, and it causes itchiness, it causes pain during sexual intercourse, it gives a burning feeling when you have to urinate, and this could be caused by many things, by bad hygiene or just by accidentally coming in contact with this. It's very easily treatable, and you have to treat it because otherwise it can cause other things. Okay, and you don't have to be ashamed about it. It doesn't mean that you're dirty or anything. It can happen to everybody. It really is. You just go to the bathroom and you happen to have this on your skin or on your hands, you could get infected with a certain fungi. Okay, there is nothing to be ashamed about. It's quite common, and most of you girls, they will be confronted with this at least once in their lives. Okay, you just have to identify it. You take a cream and it's fixed quite easily. Okay, what else do we have is blastomycosis. Blastomycosis is another fungal disease that is a little bit important because it's a little bit more dangerous. Okay, it goes inside you through respiration, and it causes some horrible infections like fever, cough, night sweats. It's very often confused with influenza, but it's not. And blastomycosis, you find that very often in nature, in moist soil and decomposing matter such as wood and leaves. I think I've had it because I always go camping and I love hanging in nature, but that's how you can get this by any accidentally, but nothing to worry about. It's also very curable. Okay, and then let's go to the last group for today, which is the other ones. And the other ones, it hides one of the most deadly things in the world. And I would like to know if somebody knows. I mean, other ones, we're talking about parasites, amoeba, other things that can make you ill, like certain animals, vectors, this kind of things. But what is really in this group of the others, the one that makes so many people ill and even dead? It's one of the biggest killers in the world for centuries. What are we talking about?
The Black Death?
No, the Black Death would be a bacteria. That would be in the bacterial group.
Mister, are they the ones that look like hexagons that have genetic material?
Yeah, but that are viruses. The viruses look like hexagons often, and they have genetic material. In fact, all of them have genetic material.
I think Bichu's talking about the ones that kill bacteria.
Yeah,
they evolve like them too.
Yeah, those guys.
But I forgot the name.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Maybe malaria.
Sorry, Tamara?
Malaria.
Yes, very good, dear. It's malaria. Malaria is making people very ill all over Africa, all over Latin America, all over Asia, and it's causing it's one of the biggest killers in the world. If you want to know the numbers, all right, I'm going to show you the numbers. You just search it in Google because I don't know the exact numbers. Annual malaria. So you just go to the page of the World Health Organization. It tells you everything about malaria. And the problem is that we don't really have like a good treatment against it. It has a lot of, how to say it? It has a lot of side effects. I was traveling with some friends in 2006, 2007 in Asia, and we were recommended to take some anti-malaria pills every day, and basically it caused us a lot of hallucinating effects. You were seeing things. Now, some years ago, they took the medicine off the market because it was causing too much side effects. And I do remember when we were taking it, because we were always hanging in the jungle and in the small villages and stuff to prevent malaria. But it's about 500,000 people to 1 million people that die every year of malaria. Okay, now coronavirus is a little bit winning malaria, but still it's throughout history one of the deadliest things that have ever been. Okay, that's it for today, guys.
Oh wait, where does Wait, yeah, I'm back. Where does the botulinum toxin go?
The botulinum toxin.
Yeah.
Botulinum toxin is basically a toxin caused by a bacterium, okay? The botulinum bacterium. And this is what they use nowadays to inject in the eyes and everything to get rid of the wrinkles.
Botox.
But the botulina, I don't think it's killing that many people because this bacteria, it appears very often on spoiled meat. So that's why meat that is spoiled, carne podrida, is very, very dangerous. I mean, you're never going to get as ill from eating certain spoiled vegetables. It can ferment, it can taste disgusting, it can give you diarrhea and stuff, but it's eating spoiled vegetables is never as dangerous as eating spoiled meat. And let me finish with that, Emilio. Never take any risk with meat. From the moment you have the smallest suspicion that the meat is spoiled, don't eat it. Because if it has botulinum toxin, you just need to take one little bite and you might die of it. Of course, it's not that common, but botulinum, it's typically on spoiled meat that it might grow.
Okay. Because I thought it was very dangerous.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. It's one of the most toxic things on the planet because it's deadly in very, very, very small amounts. Yeah. So that's it, guys. See you tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow we're gonna do like a small review quiz about what we have seen today. Okay. It will be our first quiz. It's basically of what we have done today. I think if you paid attention, you will do fine. Okay. So
Is there homework today?
No, no homework. You have 2 weeks to do this integrated activity with groups of 2 or 3, maximum 3. You can already start choosing somebody because the first one is in group. If you want to do it alone, you're fine to do it alone as well. Okay, but if you do it in group, everybody has to hand it in individually. Okay, you know that. Okay, I didn't want to go all over the rules again. You know the rules. Okay, so it's the same. Okay, see you tomorrow, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, Mr.